I'm a filmmaker. I've worked in film, video, and television for over 30 years. I took a little break, but now I'm back. Previously, on part one of the interview with Woody Rock, formerly of the R&B group Dru Hill.
And ended up like transferring schools, and when he transferred schools, that's when he ran into jazz, and that's how we got the original four that we had. Then my mom took me out of the group when she found out about it because we weren't singing gospel music. So she took me out of the group, and they went on and won Showtime at the Apollo, not Showtime at the Apollo, but like Amateur Night at the Apollo, and did a whole bunch of stuff, got a record deal without me and everything. But the record deal like kind of fell through because it was like something called a developmental deal, whereas though they know they want you, but they don't know what they want to do with you. Like,
what were some of the things that you saw that made you kind of wonder about the future even before things started to, break apart?
And for the first thing for me, the first like red flag was, us and 112 came out at the same time. And we tended to be a group who was like, it was certain members, but then when we would vote, then I would be the only person raising my hand and say something different. Everybody else might go, they might not want to do it, but they just go along with it. But we tended to be a group that spent a lot of money on our show. Like the money that we made, we would basically give back to making sure that it was a good show. So like things like a live band, things like moving props and dancers and stuff like that. Like from our first tour, from the first time we ever came out, we were doing that. And I thought nothing of it at first, but when you see them all the time, but they was like our cousins. So we always run up, and whenever you got good news, you want to show, each other your good news or something you got going on good. Right. And I remember, I think it was Q walked up to me and he had a picture. He's like, "You want to see my new car?" And I'm like, "Hold up. Last week, me and Cisco had to borrow his family car to go to the club, and the car broke down in the middle of the street, and we was both pushing, like with a single out, we pushing the car up a hill, and he telling me, 'Yo, don't wave at the people.' Everybody notices they was beeping their horns and waving and stuff."
And now, part two and the conclusion of our interview with Woody Rock. With that in mind, you're saying you were homesick and you saw a lot of things going on. When you did leave, how was that transition back into, regular, normal life? How was that transition for you? Did you have some moments where you did have maybe a few regrets, or you just said, well, maybe I can do it again and do it differently? How did you feel about that?
And the only regret I had was that I left initially with the idea of doing a gospel project.
Okay.
And then when I went into the gospel world, I found out that the people over there was just as wild, if not wilder, than the people on the other side. And at least I said with the people on the R&B secular side or whatever, they singing their songs how they are. Oh, I'm a thug. Oh, I'm a thug. I'm this. I'm trying to smash to the first night and this, that, and the thing. Like they put all their stuff out there. Whereas though the gospel people, they fall and cry and scream and holler, and then they get in front of the church, and then when they get in the street, they smoke more weed, they scam you out of more money, they do more stuff. Like I never been directly scammed out of money on the R&B side.
Right.
So down on the gospel side, I'm working on my project, and an artist that some of y'all might know, he like in the medium famous or whatever on the gospel side, but he was a part of a group, and they did a song with me on my project, him and one of his other group members.
Okay.
So he called me crying. I don't know if it was real tears or fake tears. And I was in the studio, and he was like, our label got us going over to England, and they didn't give us any money, so I'm about to be going over to England broke. So I say, and your label haven't paid me yet for the feature that I did on your album. So I say, all right, that's what I'm gonna do. At that time I had it. I said, I'm gonna give you out of my pocket or out of my advance or whatever what the label paid. It was gonna pay you for the song. Mm-hmm. And when you get your money, you just sign your check over to me, and we'll be even. Mm-hmm. And that happened in 1999. This is 2021, and I still ain't seen that money back. So, and he running around with Kirk Franklin and all them guys, man. So he even got some money from somewhere that he could have gave my money back, or at least hollered at me and let me know that something.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I always stayed secular when I did press for many years, with mm-hmm. my shows and radio and print and everything, television, print, whatever, was secular. And I had said for a moment that even, shooting music videos and stuff that my company mm-hmm. does, I was going to venture over into secular. Someone said to me, girl, stop. I said, what do you mean? They're like, oh, they worse over there. And I'm like, for real? Because I didn't have the experience, Wow. Thanks for the confirmation.
My mom used to try to warn me because she was in the gospel music scene before I was even born. Right. And she was like behind the scenes, more or less, like she had a choir that she would take from city to city, and people would request them to come out because they were really young, but they sang really good to be as young as they were. So they would have them everywhere. So she was like a fly on the wall. Like she never, her name is not like a name. If I say her name, that you would recognize it, but she was like a fly on the wall, that she saw all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. And that's part of the reason why she never wanted me to get involved in the music business also. Okay. Because she had experience from seeing, just from being around.
Okay.
You told me about how they were on that gospel side, but
I have a question. Mm-hmm. Do you still speak to any members of the group?
That's a good question. No, I was actually the last person that I had contact with is Jazz, big man. Mm-hmm. I talked to him I think it was early this year. We had met up. One of my my cousin that had an acquaintance with him too. He kind of surprised both of us and had us to both be on a program that he was had something to do with, and we got up there and sung 2 songs together, and it was cool. Okay. We sounded great, and it was good to actually chop it up with him for a couple minutes. But as far as every day hanging out and all that, I tell people all the time, it's more like coworkers. Like if you work at Walmart and we all cashiers, and I'm in aisle 2 and this person in 1 and 3 and 4, the most of what we got to talk about is Walmart stuff. So once one of us don't work at Walmart no more, it ain't really a whole lot for us to talk about.
So was it like when you did go, were you all just not friends for a while? Did that happen? Or was it, I'm peace, but I'm still cool with y'all?
That was initially my thing. I wanted to say peace and I'm still cool with y'all. The way that it happened on TV, on the internet or whatever, to make it like we had a big fight and stuff like that, that was staged because they wanted a reality show. So when I got to the radio station, I sent them an email in advance and told them that I was quitting the group. They asked me, they said, we going on the radio in Baltimore. Could you just show up to the radio station and say what you said in the email on the air so all the fans can hear it? And I said, okay, that's cool. Then when I get there, one of the guys say, yo, I'm going to act like I'm going to hit you. Please don't hit me for real. And then it turned into a whole circus act or whatever, which you can see on YouTube to this day.
And I really feel like, man, honestly, I feel like at this time, y'all guys just got it. Y'all don't need me to be around physically. So I feel like I'm going to go do what God called me to do, which is minister and do my gospel thing. But at the same time, I'm with y'all in spirit.
Dude, you could. So you leaving the group right now on the radio?
I mean, spirits can't do steps on stage, bro.
Oh hell no, man!
Steps on stage.
Dude, you could have told us this yesterday,
man.
Hold up, yo, we just talked about the whole. Hold up, no, we just talked about the whole.
Y'all ready to do this for real? Y'all ready to do this for real? Dude, you could have said this yesterday.
Wait a minute. Hold up, man. Hold up, sis.
Okay, hold on. Go out of there.
All right, so look. Okay, we'll be back. We'll take a break.
Whoa.
Come on, guys.
Whoa. Commercial.
whole just a mess, like some WWE, some bad WWE stuff with bad acting, because none of us were actors. But
Right.
it served a purpose. It got them a reality show, but it wasn't a good look for any of us.
Okay.
And stemming from that is what made me, like kind of standoffish, because it's like, to me, it was like a one-off thing. And it's almost like, like when they got gangs and stuff, they be like, blood in, blood out. That's the only way that you can leave or whatever. So I'm like, if this is my little blood out, I'll go ahead and here and act monkey with y'all for a couple seconds. But I thought after that was going to be the end of it. But then you got certain members running around talking about, I hit that because he should have stayed in there, and then making up stuff. And every time, like when what was it? The Unsung came up, they asked me to participate. And this had been years past all of that. So I was like, okay, maybe everybody. First, I said no like 10 times.
Right.
Then we got the producer of the show to call me. And the producer assured me that everything was going to be on the up and up. And she told me like all the other artists that he handled. Like he even said that he did the one with Ike Turner. So he's like, if I could paint Ike Turner in a good light, then I'm not going to paint you in a bad light and make you look bad. And I finally just gave, and he promised that he was going to let me see the show the way that it was before it aired and everything. He told me he did the Jets, and it was taking so long for that one to air because different ones had concerns, and he was going back and addressing each one's concerns and make sure everybody was happy with it. But however, mysteriously, when it come time for us, once he got my footage, then he sent me one edit. And I was pretty much cool with that one edit. I just asked him to change one thing. Then I didn't hear back from him. Next thing you know, he said, well, the people over top of me have it now, so it's out of my control. And even stuff that was in the edit that I asked for that he sent me the first time, that stuff wasn't even there. He said somebody else owned that footage, and he didn't have permission to put it up. And I'm like, man, that footage is on YouTube, public domain. How is that the case? But it was basically done purposely to make it look like that I'm the reason that the group didn't have any more success, like me leaving, which makes no sense if y'all putting on there that it was this person singing and this person's charisma and this person's production that made the group what it was. Then how do me leaving make a difference?
Exactly.
But they paid the picture like it was all about me. And then I called Cisco the day after the Unsung aired. Well, I didn't call him. I called their manager the day that the Unsung aired. He put Cisco on the phone, and his whole thing was he wanted me to go on the Breakfast Club with them the couple weeks after that. They were going up that same week, but it aired like a couple weeks after that. And I told him that I wasn't sure about that because I didn't know what type of foolishness they were going to try to play this time once I get into the studio. So I said no. So it ended up being him and two new members that he had now, just him and two guys now. Well, no disrespect to the two guys. They are members of, I don't know if you remember a group called Player that was also on Def Jam. They started out with
I do remember.
Yeah. And remember the guy Static that sang with Little One on Lollipop, and then he passed away like shortly after that.
Right.
The two guys that he sings with now are the two other members of the group that Static was in called Player, and they are very talented. Like they used to be signed to Devontae Swing, who was the writer and producer in Jodeci, which is
I remember.
the group and pretty much all our favorite group that we looked up to real heavy. So it's like he's singing with them, and I thought that they were going to go on the Breakfast Club and talk about the new projects and stuff they working on. They didn't mention one word. Like they had a new single out and everything. The whole interview is about me. And about how I called him so aggressively and all this stuff and what he this and what he that, like every other word. Like I'm exaggerating a little bit, like the whole interview wasn't about me, but it was a lot of it. Then he talked about Jazz for maybe 20 minutes because Jazz wasn't there either. Then he talked about Nokio because Nokio wasn't there. Then Nokio did his own interview somewhere. But Cisco's whole focus was, what he did just, I don't know why, what he don't want to sing with us. And the truth of it is, I'm a person who, I'm an introvert, and I didn't know what introverts were back in those days. Social media taught me a lot. So now I know what an introvert is, and it's like we basically communicate better by writing than we do by talking. So I would write letters and put them up in the studio of things that did not want to happen, things that I did need to happen in order for me to stick around. And those things didn't happen. So you know exactly why I'm not there anymore. But you go on TV, I can't believe he left. I can't believe, why would you do it now? I've been saying the same stuff for 4 5 years. So now
Wow.
we better time it down,
Yeah.
But
I
that's
understand because I'm what you call an extroverted introvert.
mm-hmm,
Because my
mm-hmm,
first mode is to be in self and quiet, but
right,
sometimes things drag you out, and you
mm-hmm,
you take that step. Nobody
right,
expects you to take it, but
right,
you do it because you have to.
right. And then you
But
go back and recharge after you get it done, and you
right,
go back to your shell, and then come back out when you need to. Like
that's
every
right.
job that I've ever had, music included, every job that I've ever had in my life always required me to be in front of people, always required me to be social. So it's like I'm
Right.
the same way. But it's like when I have my personal time, then I'm always to myself and I'm always thinking and I write stuff down, or these days I text because you could just send it straight. Because the reason I do it is because I know that when I talk, it's very to the point, so I can hurry up and stop.
Right.
So I might say something that might come across very abrasive or very, like, wow, why you say that? So it's like when I found that when I write or text, I can look at what I wrote and then I can edit it. I was like, all right, you can say this better. You could
Right.
take a little bit of the edge off of that. You see what I'm saying? So that's
Right.
why I write as opposed to talk. So I won't just be out here cussing everybody and saying all type of wild stuff.
But I got I'm gonna wrap up soon here. I got some more questions before we go.
Okay.
Um, I want you to think about this one question because we'll go to something else first. But the name of the show is Art Imitates Life, and I always like to ask people what exactly that means to them in their whole niche of what they do. Art imitates life. And what you have explained to me is very deep inside of that circle. But before we get to that question, I want to give you some time to kind of let that circle around in your head.
Mhm.
I know, like I said to you at the top of this interview, I mentioned that I know that there's going to be a lot of things that will come to the surface when it comes to the entertainment industry, not just music, film. We're going to see this year, we're going to
Mhm.
see a transformation that's going to happen because there's a lot of darkness that has been behind the scenes. So I just want to kind of ask you firsthand, without getting anybody into any trouble or getting you into trouble, what kind
Mhm.
of things that you witnessed that were so dark that made you say, "Oh, I don't know if I can really do this"?
It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
At the time that it was happening, I didn't realize it. But it's like later on, looking back at hindsight, they say hindsight is 2020. I'm
Right.
looking at it now. It's like, oh, they some dirty duds, man. They dirty. It's like when we first came to the label, our name was called Legacy, and it
Right.
stood for letting every generation encourage the coming youth. It's a
Right.
positive name. They basically made us change our name. They said somebody else had that name. I'm like, you're a label. You could pay whoever that was with that name. They probably be happy to get a couple dollars because they ain't come out with nothing yet. So get the name from them. They
Right.
told us to come up with a name that would make people know that we were from Baltimore, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm knowing researching as I do now or as I have in the past, I found out that a druid is a male witch and hill is the same as mountain, like in the Bible. So our name basically is like Witch Mountain. And then the dragon, if you read the Bible, I'm very into the Bible. If you read the Bible, the dragon is the symbol of the devil. And they put that on us. That wasn't our doing.
Yes, I
And I
remember
remember
that.
meeting Prince, and because Prince and us had the same lawyer. So we were in Electric Lady Studio, Jimi Hendrix Studio. And that's when I was working on my gospel album. And our lawyer, which is Prince's lawyer, and he also represents the family of Michael Jackson estate and their thing. So he brought Prince over. And I was so excited to meet him. And he was like, that's around the time he was going by the artist. He's
Okay.
like, artist, this is one of my other artists, one of my other clients. This is Woody. And he just left the group Dru Hill. And Prince said, is that the group with the symbol of the dragon? I said, yes, sir. He said, I see why you left.
Wow.
And Prince he was Jehovah's Witness, so he was real into his Bible. So it's like he made that connection. I ain't even had to say anything else to him about it.
Right.
He just said that, introduced me to his wife, and that was our conversation. So,
Because it's
putting that
really
on.
something to me how they put this on people, and folks they don't recognize any of the darkness that is placed upon you all as artists or the audience. As the recipient. Symbolism, like you mentioned just now with the dragon,
Mhm.
names, all kinds of things of that nature, and promotion of sex,
Mhm.
especially with very young people. I watched this, and I remember when I was deeper into things, I would see things, especially backstage, and I'm not the gossip type that goes out and talks about it on the air. But I remember I would see a lot of things, and I would just say to myself, this industry is a lot more than people are talking about. So within the last, I say, 5 years, I've been seeing more and more things come out about this whole entertainment industry, and the changes that are going to be coming, and the people who are going to be outed before for their things that they have done.
I said it before, whenever I talk about, like talk to people and they always ask me like similar things, I
Hmm.
was very sheltered. It's
Okay.
like the things that people mean, like the Bible say, you meant it for evil, but the Lord meant it for good. I had a reputation of being like the goody goody guy out of the group.
All
Like
right.
people put that, and so it's like people wouldn't even mention stuff like that around me. Like if they were doing it or talking about it, it never got brought up around me because
The
people,
shield. You have a
right,
shield.
exactly,
All right.
exactly,
Hmm. That's
yeah,
a really, really wonderful thing, and that's what made me decide that I still want to talk to a lot of people in the industry, even though I know there's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of people such as yourself that had your shields around you. You didn't encounter that side of it. You were there to do your artistry,
right,
plain and simple.
right,
You know, you weren't there to sell your soul.
right.
So,
And I'm so grateful because I can't say, like I would like to say, oh, I stood strong and I did this and I resisted that. But it's like it never really came to me. It wasn't really a choice. It was the Heavenly Father like protected me from that. So I never got confronted or never got asked anything like that. It
there
wasn't
you go.
because I was so good or I was so strong. Even leaving, he was like, I commend you for being able to leave all that behind. Like it wasn't a choice. Like it was basically my sanity or being insane. That was the choice that I had.
Gotcha.
And I
Ah,
made it was to stay sane.
I
you
like
know.
that. I really
Mhm.
love that. Well, with that, let's go ahead and find out what you feel about that term. Art imitates life. And it's because this is such a connection between the
Yeah.
two. So, what do you think of when you hear that term?
And like people, the art basically just taking the form of what's going on in real life. But I
That's
want
a
to
good
take it
one.
one step further and say
Okay.
that these days art creates life. Like life imitates art to me because it's like everybody's doing what they see these guys on TV showing that they doing, and a lot of them not even doing that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
these people acting like some gangsters or acting like some whatever they acting like. Even like you take somebody like Beyonce, who's on top on most people's list, and I'm not knocking her either. Like I don't take anything away from her, but it's amazing to me that a person can create a project called Lemonade and steady sit there and talk about put your finger in that man's face and tell him boy bye and all that and get all the people that's listening to do that. Whole
Right.
time she getting impregnated by the person that everybody suspects that the project is about. So she not doing that, but she got all of y'all dummies to go out there and do that. You see what I'm saying? Same with the
Yes.
rappers. They telling all the people, oh, go do this and go do that. And these guys getting time. And the guy
Right.
who they following after, he get locked up and come back right back home after getting everybody else in trouble. So it's like we gotta really be better if we could make art imitate life as opposed to us in real life trying to imitate these artists because
Right.
I haven't been around none of the gangsters or nothing like that. I'm not that type of artist. I'm not that type of person. I mean, I might know some in real life, but they don't do that around me.
Right.
But anyways, I just say that to say like a lot of people that make music and stuff like basically I was talking about it with a friend last night.
Uh
A
huh.
lot of the R&B singers is the most gangster, and a lot of the rappers is like pussycats when they get in the house. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like just be
Double
yourself.
life.
Yeah, like be yourself. Don't put your
Right.
whole thing based on what you see somebody else doing, even if it's your favorite artist. Like man, I love
Right.
it's artists that I love their music, but it's like as far as a real person.
Uh huh.
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know them enough to know that I want to be like this person, be like that person. I might say I want to sing like somebody. I might want to do some runs like them, or I might wish
Right.
my pen was a little closer to how theirs is, or try to figure out how to do some of the harmonies and stuff that they do. But as far as like being a person, it's not
Right.
like that I really just like look at and be like, oh yeah, I just want to be just like him. Because a lot of times you don't know what they doing behind. They might not be doing what you think they doing.
Exactly. We're finding out as time goes on here about the double lives, and we're finding out more things. Some people believe that I don't know if anybody really remembers this whole thing, but I remember there's one time when it was with the award shows, and some people are probably going to get mad at me for saying this, but it is what it is. I remember when people would get on stage and say, "I want to thank God," and there were people who were mad at them for saying that, right? And I was saying I didn't understand it, but then I started finding out that a lot of them were praying to false gods. So it's like, okay, you
It's
messing with
like
me.
beyond God. It's like that's a word that had many different. It's a whole lot of different entities that answer to that name. So
Right.
it's like, unless you're saying a specific name, then people really don't know who you're talking about. So you could be talking about anybody.
Right.
Some
I like
people
the way you
think they
put that. Yeah, because they did relax about it because I guess they started inserting their name
Mm-hmm.
into that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, but I thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I do want to ask you before you go, as far as like your music and your writing or anything now, do you still have that one project that you still want to do?
And no, I did it. I always wanted to sing a song. Like I said, I always looked up to Jodeci. And I
Okay.
always wanted to sing a song with somebody from Jodeci. And right when I left the group, when the whole little skirmish or whatever, the little circus we did for the radio came out and it went like kind of viral before stuff went viral on the internet, it was viral through the radio stations and all. KC called me and asked me was I okay first. And then he asked me what happened there and I told him that it wasn't real. He said, all right, so you'll be in North Carolina with them when they come up here next week, right? I said, no, I really did quit the group, but I really what that happened right there wasn't real. He said, okay, well, is there anything that I could do to help you? What are you doing now? Is there anything I could do to help you? And I said, man, it would mean the world to me if you would sing a song with me. And he called me and told me to come to his house. And me and a buddy of mine that's like a brother to me, and the guy who was producing tracks with me at the time, I was writing, he was doing the music. We drove down to North Carolina and set up shop in his gym area in his house and recorded a song together. And at that moment, I was like, I can retire now. So
Wow.
since then, I've been doing features for other artists on their projects. But as far as like me doing a project myself, if it happens, that'll be cool. But if not, then I feel like I did what I wanted to do as far as music and the music industry goes.
Wow. You have any desires to go into any film or anything like that?
Nah, I don't like people looking at me too much. I make YouTube videos and I try to use like the different software where as though I can put images with the words and stuff like that, so I
Okay.
don't have to be on camera as much. Once in a while I'll be on camera because there's way more work to do it that way when you putting it lining the images up with the time and stuff like that. So once in a while I'll make one where I actually appear on camera, but for the most part I just like to talk and put stuff out there to people that might be helpful or something that might make them think. That's what I really like to do now.
Okay, that's good. That's really good and great talking to you and hearing about everything because I'm so glad to hear it from the inside because yes, looking from the outside, whether we're looking at the unsung or we're remembering what happened with the whole reality show that they went on to do, or any of the hoopla and information that went out there, it's good to hear firsthand what things that were happening behind the scenes
Right.
because I'll say this again for the audience. Those of you who are not familiar with Dru Hill, again, that's DRU Hill. Go look them up because they major success. And so it's really good to hear behind the scenes what really was going on. And I thank you for that. And one thing I want to do, as I mentioned before, we're going to see some changes happen here in the entertainment industry. I want to give you an open invitation to join us again, because we'll probably get into some type of a forum. And I want to bring different people in the forum, and we're going to go in. And we're going
Cool.
to talk. So give me a couple months or so when everything just breaks open there, and we're going to go in. And that's when all the gloves are going to be off, and we will talk about the industry at that time because it's going down, y'all. All right. But thank you so much again for your
Thank
time,
you
brother
for
Al.
having me.
All right. All right. And you know something? Stay right there, y'all. I will be back with more Art Imitates Life in just a few moments. Thanks again, Woody.
Thank you.
Art Imitates Life with Tanya Dixon is being sponsored by Tandyland Global, bringing your multimedia dreams to life. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Art Imitates Live with Tanya Dixon, so be sure to like and subscribe. And also check us out on all of our other social media. Wow, that was a lot. And I hope that you have enjoyed sitting in with us today. You know, it's a lot to hear of what happened with the group Dru Hill, and especially during the time I had, like I mentioned at the top of the interview, I interviewed them a couple of times in the past, and you just never know what's happening behind the scenes. So I'm so glad that Woody Rock took the time today to speak with us, to let us know all that happened, during his time in the group. So we'll have more coming for you. We'll get a chance to speak to more people in their lives, in their careers behind the scenes. But coming real soon, like I mentioned to him in the interview, also, we will be doing a forum, a very special forum in the next couple of months. And we will talk about a lot of things, or more even on the scandalous side, behind the scenes of the full entertainment industry, not just music, but film and the whole nine. So thank you for watching us today. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to like and subscribe if this is the kind of content that you like. And also send us a message and let us know what you want to see. The social media will be on the screen there. I think I have it on before. So make sure that you check us out, and you will reach out to us and let us know what it is that you want to see, and just whether you like it or not. Okay. Thank you again. And I'm Tanya Dixon, and we'll see you next time on RM.